Hello everyone, it is I, Ryan, also known as thelovebat, and so I'm back in another saddle as it were, doing my Let's Play of Pathfinder Kingmaker. And obviously I have a new audio setup now that I wasn't using previously for it, so hopefully the bits where I voice out all of the NPCs and the various bits of dialogue will end up sounding better with a new sound setup with this Rode NT1 mic I've been using. So anyone who was following my Let's Play for a little while and enjoyed watching the episodes, well, I'm going to have some new ones coming out here for a little while now, and so I just took a little bit of break from it. I needed a bit of a recharge from it. You know, it's a very story-heavy game. You have to kind of pace yourself, and also I wanted to give myself some time to test out my audio setup before coming back to this sort of epic style Let's Play and the lengthy episodes and many bits of dialogue that happen, because it would be a shame to have an episode of this Let's Play that was kind of ruined by poor audio, I guess, before testing it out on maybe other games and Let's Plays and recordings. So after doing enough testing, I think I'm pretty comfortable getting back to this Let's Play with my new audio setup, which is nice and fresh, and hopefully will sound great with the audio and conversations in this game. And also just with my general bits of playing the game and narration and recollecting a bit on what happens in the conversations, and because I've done that in the past with previous conversations, particularly with your companion NPCs, talking to them about things not necessarily related to the main quest. So that's always going to be something I think that will be more pleasant for the ears, is being able to go ahead and have a little bit cleaner audio quality for that for the most part. And then recap for the people that, you know, it might have been a while since they watched the last episode. I rewatched a little bit of it to try and get an idea of what happened last episode. So let's go to the journal screen here and try and get an idea for what we accomplished last time and what happened. So we were able to go ahead and do some things with the people here at the trading post, Oleg's trading post here, with Oleg and his wife, Saventlana, as well as Bakken the botanist, or botanist, however you pronounce that. We were able to go ahead and do some things for some various people here, and we were able to go ahead and take care of moon radishes that we had already collected over at the nice big old tree where the kobolds and the kobolds and then the mites were hanging out at. Kobolds and mites were kind of embroiled in a little bit of a war. We were able to go ahead and eventually kind of broker a peace and a truce like it was before. The very terrible shaman Tartuccio, or Tartuk as his kobold name I guess is, or whatever. Like, it's kind of a weird, you know, mindfuck thing going on there with who is he really? We don't know, but he's definitely not someone that we want to be dealing with. We'd rather just take care of him. But yeah, we did some stuff over there at the big tree, and we were able to go ahead and definitely take care of some things. Yeah, we were at Old Sycamore. That's the name of the big tree that we were at for a couple of episodes. A good long while, actually. But yeah, we got moon radishes there. We delivered them to Bakken. We didn't really have a time limit on that, so we could come back when we're ready. And then we also we took the roundabout route of getting the fangberries for Bakken at a spider-infested cave. Took care of the spiders. They weren't too much trouble for us. We had some frontliners that were able to hold them off for everybody else to go ahead and take care of business. Unfortunately, if I remember correctly from the recording, I made the mistake of taking too long to return the fangberries to Bakken the first time, and then I had to go and go back to the cave at some point, and then deliver them again because I took too long and they spoiled. And it does say in the quest that you're not supposed to, shall we say, take too long to deliver the fangberries. So, but we did end up eventually getting it done and talking to Bakken about that. And all is well in the world for Bakken the botanist. And then we came across a bandit camp And one of the things that we encountered at the bandit camp, I guess, was someone that's kind of related to Svetlana, who I think dual wields axes, as Svetlana described. And I guess this person, Cressy, or Cressel, I believe it was, and we have a thing in our inventory talking about that a little bit, for Cressel. And Cressel was a bandit in this bandit camp that we found, and so she has some relation to Svetlana, and I guess had her wedding ring, so she must be either like a close friend or maybe some family member that we came across, and that's why Svetlana did not want us to hurt them, even though she probably knew what Cressel was up to. But Svetlana didn't want us to hurt them, so I guess it's someone close to them, or was close to them at one point, and had Svetlana's wedding ring that she had been looking for quite a while. And it was kind of a sacred thing. She wanted us to get it for her, and indeed we did. Surprisingly, in our conversation with Cressel, or Cressy, I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm not sure how that's spelled. I mean, it looks like Cressel. I don't think that's an uppercase I, so we'll just call her Cressel. But Cressel, in our conversation with her at the bandit encampment when we dealt with the bandits, I guess, if I remember correctly, we dealt with them all non-violently, which is kind of the way our character goes. We were able to go ahead and talk to Cressel, and in our conversation, we talked to her and treated her, fairly, I guess a little bit of kindness in her heart as a paladin. And she ended up giving us the ring without us even having to ask for it. We only talked about that we didn't want there to be more bloodshed than was necessary, and we brought up Svetlana, I believe, in our conversation. So that was an interesting conversation, and so we'll see if Cressel ends up coming up later on at some point. I don't know if they're going to reunite with Svetlana and come to the trading post. I assume that they probably know Svetlana's here, since if they know who Svetlana is, they probably know that she's married and that their home is here at the trading post. But that's probably a topic for another time. I'm sure it was going to come up at some point. Otherwise, Svetlana wouldn't have wanted us to spare Cressel and get a wedding ring from her, apparently. So, I mean, if she had the wedding ring, then she's probably going to come up later. And then we got, I guess, a companion quest unlocked for Amiri, the barbarian. Very strong barbarian, likes to use a big bastard sword, in case people don't remember. But she's always about the fight. She is the fighting type, and isn't much for words other than talking about fighting or her tribe. But yeah, she learned about Tuskgutter from some kind of like bounty hunter ranger kind of person. I forget exactly who it was that we learned it from, but apparently Tuskgutter has been kind of wreaking a bit of havoc lately here in the forests. And so we can go ahead and take care of this creature Tuskgutter, and I guess in a way collect a bounty, if I remember correctly as well. I guess errands. Yeah, we can bring his head to Oleg. I think it's the semi-bounty, I guess, because the person who got injured by Tuskgutter, I guess, was a friend of Oleg's, if I remember. And so Oleg wants us to go ahead and slay the beast, as does Amiri, and I'm sure that we'll get some kind of reward for that. Off with its head! Bring it back for a reward! A reward! And then we have, I guess, some other things to do in relation to the Stag Lord that we're supposed to try and deal with as soon as possible. We've tried to take care of things swiftly as far as making good time. So we have to deal with the Stag Lord and find some more information about him and his bandits. And let's see, I don't know if there's anything else. The Temple of the Elk, we freed this cleric named Jod, also at the bandit encampment, where we encountered Cressel with the Svetlana's ring quest, as well as I think they were the Stag Lord's bandits that do his bidding. And we were able to go ahead and, I guess, convince them to not fight us. And also convince Cressel that the Stag Lord probably isn't who she thought he was when she first joined ship with the bandits. And that probably is not the leader to be following. And along with that encounter at the bandit camp, we also freed Jod, the cleric. And so he's a cleric of Erastil, one of the deities. And then we have the Temple of the Elk that he wants us to find somewhere here, I guess, in the woods at some point too. So I'm certain that we find that, then we'll end up getting some cool stuff out of that, as well as being able to learn more about Jod. I'm sure he'll show up once we find it and let us know some more about what's going on there. So that's about as best as I remember what happened in the last episode. Obviously, it's just a Reader's Digest condensed version that I can remember. I wasn't able to watch through the entire episode word for word to remember exactly what we did, but that's the general idea of what we did. And it has been a while, and so I'm just going to have to go ahead and go in here and see what's ticking inside of the trading post. There's good old Noriel, Night Eyes, and Kestingares, who we informed about defeating Tortuk, or Tortuccio as they know him, over at the Old Sycamore.
Let us press on.
And then also I think there was something about the audio settings that I thought about doing. I considered turning off the character voices for commands, because at this point I think we kind of know what their voices sound like, but I'll leave it on occasionally for the commands since it's not going to be too grating, I think. And I think we already talked to Svetlana about the ring as well as encountering Cressel. So I think that was another thing that we went through the last session as well. See if anyone hears anything to talk about. Don't think Noriel has anything to talk about. I don't know if we've progressed through enough of the story yet to unlock more of her story about what happened with her and her party that she once adventured with and befell a very sad fate that she doesn't want to talk much about. So I'll just check in with my companions here. Obviously can tell people to kick rocks and head on out, but I'm not going to do that with my companions. Even the evil ones, I'll show a bit of compassion and mercy to, and to be like, well, I don't know, maybe they can turn the corner and maybe find something inside themselves that maybe they'll be able to coexist with others and not be, lamenting about life and how, sour you have to be to survive in this world, I guess. So I guess we don't have anything else to talk about with her, with Lindsay. I don't think anyone's up here. Nope. Alright, so let's go ahead and check our stash. First, I'll see if there's anything I want to put into the stash. We have some scrolls here that are not very heavy. I have them mainly around, so that way, if I need them, then I can make use of them. The communal scrolls to protect the party from certain things. Fire is a very common damage type, and then there's one particular encounter that I plan on doing where I would want electricity kind of immunity, I think, so. So yeah, this is a really nice thing to have around. Yeah, temporary immunity. Yep, so that's obviously great. And I think if you cast it from a scroll, it just lasts the entire duration with, I guess it's caster level 7, so that would be 12 points per caster level of energy. So that would be well over, that would be probably about like 84 points of damage that we would get out of that. So that probably would be enough for most encounters. Yep, definitely. And then this was the note that we found for Cressel's written orders. We'll probably go ahead and put this in the stash just to keep it around as like a keepsake. I'm not sure who A is, but I'll read this again just in case, because it does seem to have some relevance to the Stag Lord's men. Kreslor, a task. As soon as you're done with the taxes, find an old hut in the woods upstream of the Thorn River and burn it to the ground. This is the Stag Lord's wish. He literally said, "Burn! Burn!" It was originally going to be Dovin, but he grew upset when he learned nobody lived in the hut. Said burning houses with no one in them was boring. So I said I'd send someone more reliable. It's a strange task, but try to finish it quickly, and no asking what the or why bother with this trifle instead of preparing for war with Restov. We'll get to that. A. So I think I did, in fact, read this note last time, but it does bear some repeating as sort of the recap part of this episode, because it's in relation to the old hut that we're supposed to find for Lindsay's journal here. Not the Temple of the Elk, I think it's the Stolen Land. Yeah, we have to examine the old hut that the Stag Lord is interested in to see if there's anything that was left there that he wanted to destroy or leave no trace of that might end up leading us to him or his men. So I think that's what this note here was alluding to and why it's kind of semi-important. So let's arrange all that stuff. It's unfortunate that these coins and such don't stack, so they just take up a bunch of space and inventory for now. We have some fragments of artifacts that we've been finding. We have a good number of necklace fragments and some dog tags here. So I guess the dog tags you turn in for money at some points, and then you have the necklace, which is pieces of an artifact long lost. So hopefully we find enough fragments of this necklace, and then we'll end up being able to piece that together and get something pretty sweet out of it. I don't know if we'll need camping supplies. This is usually only good for indoors environments, which I don't think is going to be any trouble, at least not for a while, I imagine. I don't know if we're going to need any of these scrolls. If I were a wizard, then obviously these would be more important, or if I liked using spell scrolls for different things, but for now, probably not important. And my phone just went off of a text message unexpectedly, so give me 1 second to take a look at that. Alright then, now I am back from my brief slumber to check on my phone there just to make sure that it wasn't anything important, and it doesn't appear to be pressing at the time, so I can continue on with the episode. And so I don't think that there's too much that I'm concerned with throwing away. Having these for area of effect damage could be helpful. They don't have too much weight to them, all things considered. Couple of healing potions and then some melee boosting potions, which could be helpful. And then I guess a potion of vanish for some stealth. Caster level is only 1 though, and it's 1 round per level, so that's not a very long duration for a potion. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to need that, because 1 round at caster level 1, that's not going to do a whole lot for me. I mean, plus 20 bonus to stealth checks, obviously great, but you really need to be able to cast that at like caster level 4 or higher to really be able to use it for a situation to where you can go in, get something, and get out. So I could just sell that Scroll of Vanish. It's not going to get us very much money, but I don't know if we're actually going to use it because the duration just isn't good enough. Burning Hands. The scrolls I'll keep around in case I need them to add to a wizard's spellbook, since that's the way that wizards go. I guess I could sell these other potions of Vanish as well and just get rid of them. Yeah, that might be the best thing to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to actually use them. I could hold on to them and then maybe have someone use several of those potions in succession to try and do stealth, but I don't know. Maybe the gold is, or the money is just not enough to sell them right now. Maybe if we want to buy something, then we can do that. Alright, so I think these things, it's not very much that we're carrying right now. We do need to eventually rest up a little bit. We are a bit fatigued, but we do have some pretty wonderful fortitude saving throws here. Not just the class bonus, but Divine Grace for the saving throws is quite significant. It has been, that'll be pretty special going forward, where it's just like, if you thought Aura of Protection in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons was strong, then damn, this thing is going to get super good. Very, very good. Obviously, it doesn't confer the benefit to your allies, but I think giving it to yourself is strong enough, because it allows you to go ahead and just stay alive and benefit your allies. And that's kind of what you want to be able to do if you're in the front line. We don't have the most hit points, but eventually we're going to be getting a very high AC. We're using this right now because it's an agile weapon. So it allows us to use our dexterity for the damage rolls as well as our to-hit rolls as well, I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, this is 1d4, and then we add our dexterity and different things to this for the damage there. +1 enhancement, dexterity, 1d4 +5. And it'll be more when we're not fatigued. And right now we're not carrying much on our character either, nothing too heavy. We got 1 potion, 2 potions. This can actually be somewhat effective. To go ahead and just give us a bonus to our AC that's better than the bracers of armor that we have right now. This would give us +4 armor bonus, and this gives us only +1. So for some fights, I think it's worth having a couple of those handy. That way it gives us a semi-competitive AC to work with. I don't know if we want to rest here. I don't know if anyone else is fatigued. It doesn't appear so. They all have... All of the characters that I have so far have reasonably good constitution. She doesn't have to worry about it because she's undead. She has good constitution. So yeah, no one in the party has a constitution lower than 14, so that's always good. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to be heading next, to be honest, but... we shall see. I think that we'll rest out on the road somewhere, since I don't think we really need to rest here. See, oh, here's Jod. So I guess we can talk to Jod over here, the guy that wants us to go and find the Temple of the Elk.
How may I serve you?
Alright, so I need the help of a cleric. And yeah, if I remember, I'm not sure if I talked to him before or not. I don't quite remember if I talked to him in my previous episode. I guess I did maybe make a comment that if he's a cleric, it would be nice if he could go ahead and offer some healing services for free. Because we did save his life, and if we're doing things that are pretty important, it would make sense to at least give us free healing while we're stopped here. And then he can sell us scrolls if we want to heal on the road. If that makes sense. Usually in some games, that's usually how it works, is that if you do something, nice for someone, then they'll return the favor in some way by giving you free healing and such, because what else are they going to use their magic power for if they're here? I mean, why not heal us up, And I guess I guess we can talk to Jod here
How may I serve
about some
you?
things. Yep, so he talked about, I can sell you various divine spell scrolls. They're quite useful, even if you don't have anyone in your party who can read them. While you're in this settlement, or indeed any place with a cleric willing to help, you need only open your bag and choose the scroll you wish to cast. I'll be happy to read it for you. However, take care out there in the wilderness. A scroll is useless without someone who can read it. To use a scroll on your journeys, you'll need a spellcaster whose magical training covers such spells, or someone skilled in magical devices. So these are just things telling someone who's a player that's kind of new to tabletop or to the way that the skills work that you need to have someone that has the use magic device skill leveled up at least once to be able to use scrolls if they're not like a cleric or someone like that. But yeah, it makes sense that they would have that dialogue there just to give you like a heads up if you are new to Pathfinder in general, since this might be, at least at the time that this game came out, a number of people's first introduction to Pathfinder, because Pathfinder, as far as I knew, didn't really have a major video game before that to introduce people to the game, so makes sense. Tell me about the visions that led you to the Temple of the Elk.
That's why I'm here.
Oh, is it? What do you want from me, then?
Find the Temple of the Elk. I've pieced together its location from what I can remember of my visions. I have a rough idea of where to look for the sanctuary, somewhere in the North Nile marshes. However, I don't possess the strength to walk this path myself. Do not reject my plea, good traveler, and I'll repay you as best I can. In these dark times, people rarely help each other without compensation. May Erastil forgive us all. But I am sure my healing abilities will be useful to you.
I mean, that's
How may I
interesting.
serve you?
I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting that he says that my healing abilities may be useful to you, but like, when I ask him for his help, he doesn't offer his healing abilities for free. And he just said, not often will people help you without wanting compensation in return. So, like, you think that maybe you go into a direction of a little bit of paying it forward. You know, someone helps you out, then you can help them out. Because, like, you know, you want to be able to help people. You know, and the gods that make you strong as a mortal for a little while, and you use your strength to be able to help each other, kind of thing. At least, and maybe, at least from the viewpoint, maybe of like a cleric or a paladin or someone like that, or a knight who believes very fervently in the gods, something like that. But yeah, that's the general idea that I would usually get, but in practice, as far as mechanics of the game go, it doesn't exactly function the way that the dialogue indicates that it should. In some games, like the Diablo games, Diablo 1 and 2, the first game of which I've done some episodes of on this channel, the healer in town will heal you free of charge, and they will sell you potions for a price, but if you go back to town and you just want healing to get your health back up, they heal you for free. Now granted, you're going to be using potions a heck of a lot more than you are spells and magic to heal yourselves, and resting and things like that. But that's the general idea of how healers in town are supposed to work if you've, you know, helped them out and done them like favors and things like that, and you know, you do a little bit of give and take, paying it forward to each other. But in this game, mechanics wise, not really the case. But I mean, it's only a minor blemish, but I just wish that the mechanics matched the dialogue a bit more of what this guy talks to you about. But yeah, that's just my take. Maybe it's just a minor gripe, pet peeve that I have. And then maybe one thing that I'll do is I'm not sure if I can hear the voices too well. I have the volume set up on the voices fairly high already. I just want to be able to hear the voices better in conversations, and so that way you guys can hear it better too. So that way you don't have to worry about adjusting your volume on your computer during the conversations. since some of these conversations do get kind of in-depth.
How may I serve you?
It does mean that the vocal commands for selecting your characters and stuff will be louder as well, but it's not usually that big of a deal since they all talk at the same time a lot anyway when you're beginning combat. How does this sound?
How may I serve you? That's why I'm here.
Alright, so why do you need to find this temple? The dialogue ended prematurely last time, so let's go to this option now. Why do you need to find this temple, Jod?
What is there to understand? The gods do not send us visions for no reason. We must go to the temple. Then I believe we shall discover the true meaning and wisdom of Erastil's will.
So I guess it was, if I remember correctly, he had a vision and he was trying to find it based on his vision. And I guess he feels that the vision was bestowed upon him from Erastil's will, and that if that's what Erastil wants him to do, then he will carry it out. But he had difficulty doing it on his own, and he was taken advantage of by bandits and imprisoned by them ever so briefly, or taken, prisoner, I guess. And then we found and rescued him. So that's kind of where we're at right now with that,
As you
I
wish.
suppose. Let's adjust the volume one more time here. Maybe 94 is maybe good enough. Maybe it'll sound louder with another NPC, I don't know.
What exactly would you like to know?
Tell me about your past, Jod.
My story? Why not? You deserve to know it. I am a priest of Erastil, and Galt is my homeland. You can imagine what it's like, following the teachings of the stag god in a realm torn by discord and strife.
Kind of interesting, the stag god, Erastil. I guess this is something that's worshipped by probably many rangers and archers, I imagine. But we all have the stag god Erastil, which is like a good aligned god. And then you have the stag lord, the really, really dick-headed tyrant lord that's proclaimed rulership over these lands. That many people who live here, I imagine, might know of or worship Erastil. So it's I imagine that a decent amount of people might. So it's very interesting how there's like a bit of a very, very, different ends of the spectrum kind of comparison between two things that we have going on here, I guess.
Rebellion and suspicion are the pillars of Galt. Led by Erastil, I tried to guide my flock to embrace tranquility and balance, and guard them from hasty judgment, until I fell from grace myself. Foolish, foolish old Jod. My misdeeds cast a shadow over my life and service. In search of redemption and a balm for my soul, I took to the road. I had come nearly to despair when Erastil sent me a vision of the Temple of the Elk. I knew that very moment that the stag god had shown me the way to redemption.
So I guess he made some mistakes in the past, and he's, I guess, on a road to redemption, and maybe he's letting Erastil guide him to what he feels like is redemption for himself and past misdoings in his own way. Now, I don't know exactly how bad his misdoings are, if it's just things that he doesn't feel proud of, even if he did nothing wrong. It kind of happens too, but so he's on a mission of redemption, and he's letting Erastil guide him, I guess, along that path. What did you do to anger Erastil?
Well, if you truly wish to know, I'll have to start from the long time back. Werewolves preyed upon the lands around my village. They murdered people for fun or sport and left the corpses to rot on the roads. One night, they broke into a young woman's house and dragged her into the streets.
Well, that's quite an ordeal. Maybe just one more on the volume scale there. Trying to get the volume just right for these conversations. Let me know if having the voice volume a bit louder for these makes it easier to keep up with the voiced part of the NPCs. Obviously there's a text there to know exactly what they're saying, but to hear the performance of the voice actors I think might be interesting here. Okay, so I guess werewolves, a lot of people probably already familiar with them a little bit. You know, they have to do with lycanthropy and transforming at nighttime with the moon, if the moon is out, if I understand it correctly. Different lore handles it differently, and there's certainly lots of different lores out there in fictional settings, so I'm not going to claim to be an expert on any of it, but that's the general idea of it. And so I guess some people who are werewolves and cursed with the lycanthropy are doing this.
One evening, a traveler came to our tavern, tattered and dirty from days on the road, like so many others roaming Gault. He sat quietly in the corner of the tavern, drinking cheap ale, and in an instant, I knew he was a werewolf. I felt it in my soul. It was like Erastil himself had whispered it into my ear.
Okay, interesting. Let's see where this goes.
Led by Providence, I left to gather my flock, and we surrounded the tavern. The retribution was swift. However, I was tragically mistaken. The young man was no werewolf. He was a bandit, sent to spy on the village by one of the local gangs. We only found out after, when we went through his things.
So I guess this is an interesting little choice. Obviously nothing good or evil. You can just continue if you want, but yeah, you can give them an idea of maybe how you feel about the situation. I guess in our case, you probably would have let them know that, you know, maybe you should have tried to find out a little bit more information before going on a simple hunch, I guess. Now, sometimes if you have magic to detect things, and sometimes you can know for sure, you just can't exactly prove it to other people that how you know, other than magic. But yeah, you probably should have known 100% or something close to it before acting on it. You should have stayed your hand and discovered the truth before you acted, shouldn't you have not?
Indeed. I remind myself of this every day when I awaken, and again when I go to sleep. I, who admonished my fellow citizens for the chaos they spread and the transgressions they made, but then I myself. Whatever the case, I knew Erastil was no longer pleased with me. It was terrifying.
Now, of course, I mean, yeah, it was a bandit, but on the other hand, like bandits, they're not too far gone from redemption. They can change, potentially. Not always, but they can. Like Cressel that we talked with, we were able to convince her not to fight, so it's possible.
Imagine how my mind raced when here in the Stolen Lands I heard the voice of the Stag God once again. He gave me another chance at service to atone for my guilt. Now I have regained hope, and that very hope is my most precious possession.
So I think 96 maybe is maybe the sweet spot for the NPC voices. I think maybe slightly quieter, less reverb on the noise, at least in my headphones. I'm sure people using speakers, maybe it doesn't come through the same way that it does for my headphones, but I'll go with 96 for the voice volume for now. Anyway, yeah, so he's looking to deal with this past misdeed of... It wasn't necessarily an innocent man, but it was someone where he acted a bit rashly. He acted in a rushed manner without finding out the truth about who this man was at first, or questioning him in some way before deciding to lead the mob on him. So you have to... It's not exactly about how it all ended up. It's about the intentions at the time he made the choice, I guess, is why Alyrra said what she did. Because it could have been an innocent man that they had killed. So it could have been. And so it's something you have to keep in mind when making decisions like that. So what can you tell me about your homeland, Galt?
For some, it is a land of freedom, where power belongs to the people, not to lords or kings. For others, it's a land of never-ending revolution, a realm surrendered to anarchy. It depends on who you ask.
Indeed. Even in real life, there are some people that, how should we say it, consider freedom just something that leads to corruption and, you know, all kinds of other stuff that happen in government and people that rule over others and lots of things happening, and they think it's a blight on the landscape. And then you have others who think that freedom is the most sacred thing that anyone can have. And now personally, I love freedom. I cherish it quite a bit. Yeah, and so I'm all for it. And that's definitely what someone I think who is lawful good would think, is that freedoms are very important, because while laws are there for a reason, the laws, the way that they're enacted, should give people freedom, and the freedom to live their lives as they wish, without people coming down upon them for every little thing that they do. And sometimes you have to go and look at the laws and see if, well, one, if they're justified in carrying out a certain law, and if it should be a law. And then in certain situations, were certain actions or things like that justified? For example, killing someone in self-defense is just one common example. It's not murder if it's self-defense kind of thing. So, yeah, so definitely interesting things that we're talking about here.
For me, I found Galt a violent place. Crowds eager to lynch a stranger for that accent or appearance, where a single word uttered at the wrong time or place can spark the people to riot and cities to burn.
Interesting. So I guess radical revolutionaries, I guess, are kind of maybe the kind of people that can rise up there and I guess lead the mob mentality, I guess. Well, of course, freedom is always good, but obviously if the culture is a certain way, there are people that are going to maybe make attempts to abuse those freedoms and then call it, you know, doing it in the greater good or something like that. Or being like, oh, they had it coming. Obviously, that's where the lawful part of the lawful good comes in, is that you can't just go ahead and kill people just because you want to. You know, there has to be an actual reason for it, you know. And if you're a vigilante that does, like, bounty hunting, and, you know, you're not just doing it for petty revenge, then obviously you can look at that on a case-by-case basis and, you know, declare as a judge if they are guilty of murder or not. But, I guess in Jaw's experience, they had the mob mentality go and murder a man that shouldn't have been murdered.
For me, it is a place inhabited by the frightened and the desperate, always suspicious, watchful of trickery. All too often they are deaf to the voice of reason. They cannot grasp that chaos and lawlessness lead only to yet more chaos and lawlessness. All my life I've tried to break through to these poor people, but alas, I don't seem to have made much progress.
So I guess he's trying to go ahead and, I guess, change the lifestyle, or at least was trying to change the lifestyle of people who were in Galt, and get them to you know, think about their actions a bit more rather than just acting on their whims, which is understandable. And I guess he's, in his experience at least, has not made much progress, so maybe that's kind of why he's out and about doing what he is right now, to try and find something different where he can make more of an impact on people.
As you wish.
Tell me about Erastil.
Of course. It would be my pleasure. Erastil is one of the eldest gods of Golarion. His faith emerged when the first people appeared upon the land. Erastil helped our ancestors cultivate the land and hunt. Even now, his blessing lies with those who uphold the old traditions and keep to simpler ways, far from civilization and the noise of the city.
So yeah, as you can kind of see, definitely a deity that's kind of in line with rangers and druids and people that, you know, live off the land, of course. People that maybe, you know, farmers that might worship them and they want to have a good harvest to feed everyone and make a living. Different things like that. And obviously, there's people that might worship them for other reasons because they concerned with family. You know, family is a pretty big deal for lots of people out there, so community and family, regardless of whether you live out in the wilderness or if you live in an urban society or if you live just on a farm or something. Helping others and enjoying the hunts and not just doing things to go ahead and you know, I like to think of it that things like this as people that aren't selfish, I guess. That's the way that I kind of look at it. Because you're not just doing a whole bunch of things for yourself, I suppose. Hunting, for example, is not something like it's a thing of survival, as well as making a living, selling things as well. And of course, you know, animals obviously hunt each other, and so there's that too for the wilderness. But yeah, enough talking about Erastil. It's kind of just like general comments and such. And one of the older deities. So, wait a moment. Cities have their strengths as well, don't they? Civilization fosters science, trade, and invention. And in that, it often improves life for all of us.
Tell that to the peasant robbed of all he owns, spending his night in the gutter, hoping to live to see the sunrise. You won't see such things in a village.
Well, this is interesting. We don't exactly have a dialogue option that I would want to have a rebuttal for. We only get 2 real choices here. I mean, I like to say to him that obviously there's, you know, evil that goes on in cities, but there's also good people. I'm not exactly sure which one of these to do because I'm not exactly sure if I got the option that I would really want to carry out and tell him. I mean, I could just do number 3 and just be like, I see no point in arguing this either way. I don't know, maybe number 1, we can just tell him that. You do have a point, etc., but, you know, let's see what this goes with.
I'm glad to hear you agree. These days, many are deaf to the wisdom of generations.
Now, I guess the way that we kind of word that is that they can be places of evil and wrongdoing, so yeah, he does have a point. You know, his viewpoint, you know, it's not just talking out of his ass, basically. So on that point we can agree with him on. I would disagree with him in some ways, or at least Alyrra would, I guess, and myself as well, that there's good that comes out of it, and people that do good for others as well. If you have a good ruler, a just ruler as well. What does Erastil demand of his faithful?
The word demand does not befit the stag god. Honesty and friendship, loving families, merry weddings, and newborn children in their mother's arms, they bring a smile to Erastil's face. He loves his people and rewards them with fortunate hunts and plentiful harvests. But he has no temper for sloth and vanity. He never bestows gifts upon his faithful without first measuring their worthiness. We ourselves must win our daily bread, but the stag god comes to our aid in times of need and strife.
Oh, indeed. That's interesting. Some parallels to, I guess, the Christian God in real life, where, you know, you have to, you know, give us this day our daily bread kind of things that I remember back from church, to where, you know, it's, obviously it's not just all about good deeds and, you know, things like that. But it's, I guess, very much encouraged that he's not going to go ahead and bestow gifts of life and all the things it has to offer if you're not, you know, if you're not carrying out things in practice, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you don't carry out your beliefs in actual practice, then you don't tend to really be rewarded for it, particularly in things like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, where the gods are known to actually exist and etc. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of back up your words with actual actions that reflect what you say that you believe. So it's a very interesting way to put it, I guess. Alright, so we've always had respect for Erastil and his priests. I guess since we're a paladin, you probably have heard of them in some ways. So I'll go with this one.
I see it more clearly every day. Erastil himself led me to meet you. Your keen spirit will serve you well.
Alrighty then, well, he sees something good in us, so we quite like that. I'm not sure why the dialogue looks this way, though. He just complimented us, so... to each their own. I wanted to ask you something else that doesn't make much sense, but we're going to go with it.
I am happy to help.
Let's go back to this.
I am always glad to speak of the stag god. The word demand does not befit the I am happy to help.
I thought that there were more options to ask about Erastil.
I am always glad to speak of the stag god's teachings. The word demand does not befit the stag god. Honesty and
okay, well, let's skip this then and not go in circles. I thought that there were some other options that I hadn't selected yet, but maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I was reading other options that were in the list that were already grayed out, and they weren't other things that I could talk about. Alrighty then, well, I appreciate hearing your story about Erastil and your past, and hopefully we'll help you clear up, I guess, the feelings that you have about your past and create a better future. Create a better future for yourself and for the land around you. So... let's see, I think that we talked to her about... yeah, we talked to her already about Tuskgutter and such, so I don't know if we need to talk to her about anything else. I guess we could talk to Jaethal, the evil undead scythe-wielding lady. On second thought, I'm not really interested in hearing her story yet. Her and Harim, I think, can be for another day. We talked to Jod about his backstory, so we'll leave it at one backstory for this episode. Then maybe in a future episode we'll talk to Jaethal and Harim about their history. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going on the road here. Gives us one last chance to decide if we want to take some stuff with us. Don't think that we're going to actually need this. Probably just go ahead and sell it. I don't know if we're actually going to need it, though. Anything with that yellowish circle in the background usually means that it could be semi-important as like a quest item. I don't know if we're supposed to take it, and if we encounter the Stag Lord, I don't know if having the wine with us is going to mean anything, so if we eventually end up finding him. I mean, it doesn't weigh very much, but I don't really want to lug it around if I don't need it, I guess. So let's just go and leave it. And then we have a pretty good AC now, so I think we'll do this setup. I think for now, these three are just walking away with ranged weapons. Mainly just because, unfortunately, in this game, Barbarians, in Amiri's case, just do not perform very well. They are much tankier in Dungeons & Dragons with the damage resistances. Whereas, like, raging in this game, like the rages, they just don't have enough damage resistance in them to really keep you going, and you just get hit way too often to be able to go ahead and last in the front lines. You just have to be AC, AC, AC all the time. So, and it's kind of hard to get a barbarian, at least a regular barbarian, a good enough AC to be competitive on the front. So you need to like enlarge them with like an enlarge potion. Where's that one? It's this one, I think. Yeah. So if you use something like enlarge person, it does increase your reach a little bit in combat, so you can attack from behind your other frontliners and not get attacked and targeted. So that is something that you can do with Amiri to try and make her more viable in melee, even though she doesn't have a lot of AC, and so she can get in with some potentially high damaging attacks if you do that. But we're just going to have to do that for select special fights, not run-of-the-mill fights. Okay, so we have to go ahead and eventually get over to the abandoned hut for the Stag Lord stuff. Then we have to go and kill Tuskgutter for Amiri. We have some other places down around to the south as well. Some stuff I haven't explored down there yet. I'll get around to it eventually. And I am going to go back to Old Sycamore at some point to deal with an encounter there with the rations and resting provisions that are left there, with hints that you will die by electrocution of a very evil entity if you rest up at something there. So we'll go back there eventually, since we have the scroll of communal scroll of lightning or electricity that we can protect ourselves with for that encounter. I might go this direction, go around the forest this way, I guess. Because if you go through the forest, that will slow you down. Eventually you do want to go through here to explore and make sure that the areas with side encounters are taken care of, because you can find things like good loot and occasionally fragments of the artifacts laying around in areas like that, so you do want to explore as many as you can. Let's go ahead and save our game here. See, as you can see here, I forgot to go ahead and save my game before with an actual save slot when I ended my last episode, so I had to kind of do a bit of catching up with the quick save that I happened to make, thankfully. So I was able to go ahead and do the good old load the quick save and pick up where I left off, thankfully. So thankfully I did not have a big screw up there. Alright, so let's go this way. Let's go north of the forest. Okay, so we have something there that we're not going to be able to deal with yet, but now that we know that it's there, we can go back there later when we need to. I wish that we'd be able to hover our mouse over what is at that spot. Yeah, I do hate how the arrows, they prevent you from mousing over particular landmarks or icons on the map. So as you can see, it says Kingdom Resource, and I kind of talked about it a little bit in a previous episode, but Kingdom Resources, they are things that you'll want to go ahead and eventually visit. So that way you can sort of tag them as a location that you can sort of benefit from for your kingdom when you eventually have that. And now I forget which way would be the way to go here, but I think this way would lead us more in this direction, going, I guess, northeast of this river. Whereas we want to go this way to go to this abandoned hut. So let's go this way. Alright, there's someone on the road. Get ready. I wonder if this is a story encounter or if it's like a combat encounter, because we haven't really healed ourselves yet with resting, so I don't know how this is going to go. A group of well-armed fighters approaches. One of them raises their voice, pointing at you. Hey you, stop right there! Kalana, look at this one. Will she do? The group's leader lays her cold and watchful eyes upon you. This one? I suppose. But I don't like her snout. Well, that's, I don't really take kindly to the comments like that. She studies your companions, carefully but nonchalantly, as if examining goods at the market. Listen, you tramps! We're from the Technic League. Our slave died, and we need a replacement. One of you will be coming with us. The rest of you are free to go. I advise against resistance. It would be a quick trick to kill every one of you. Choose now the one of you you will give. Okay, so these people, they want to unlock arcanic or arcane type secrets, I suppose. And I guess they want to unlock more secrets about certain kinds of artifacts, namely a silver mount. And I guess in this case, maybe this is like a subsect of the Technic League that are slavers, and they want to use people for, shall we say, unethical research purposes. That's what I kind of imagine this hold up to be. Alright. What is this Technic League? One very serious organization from Numeria. People with whom you'd better not start a fight. And who you better not bother with foolish questions. Well, Alyrra doesn't even need to think about it. No negotiations with petty slavers like yourselves. We are going to mop you up, and hopefully you will ask for mercy, because we don't want to have to kill you. Big mistake. Well, I think the one making the mistake here is probably you, because we have some pretty good hardened warriors on our team. Alright, so we don't have much health. But we do have some healing that we can heal with after the combat. we really want to go ahead and take out their mage. Archer, swordsman, mage. Okay.
Let us strike as one.
Let us fight as one. You two shall fight as one. Do I want to cast any spells here? I don't know. What can you cast? You might be able to cast something useful. No. That could be helpful. Let's see, what else? I suppose that we could focus on this guy for melee. No, not there.
Onwards!
Select someone else. I think that we can have you maybe go back to try and deal with the mage, I guess. And then Jathal can go ahead and cast... I mean, I guess that these people are evil. I mean, they're neutral. They're all chaotic. I thought that they might be evil, but I guess they're chaotic neutral. That are basically acting evil and selfish. I don't know if that's really chaotic neutral. That sounds more like neutral evil to me, but I'll let the game decide how it wants. So, we definitely want protection from chaos since they are chaotic neutral. So let's go ahead and do protection from chaos on Valerie then. And then you can go ahead and cast Shield of Faith on Valerie to make sure that she doesn't go down. You get in over
behind
there.
Me.
And then I think we want to go ahead and have our ranged attacks on that person back there. We definitely want to go ahead and cast Bless here if possible. And let's see how this works out. Yep, I think that we're the ones that hit them. So there's Bless. And then we should go ahead and do some Inspired Courage here, I think. Help us out a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and do protection from chaos on you as well, I think. Once we go and move you out of melee range here. I think we want to switch you to Sword and Shield. Have you get in. You are fighting defensively as well, so it's more reason to get in there. I don't know if he casted Shield of Faith yet. I thought I had him casting that, but... let's see how this works out. We don't need to have you keeping that always on. It looks like they have a wolf summoned here. I really want you to go ahead and cast Protection from Chaos, I think, on Alyrra. Bless, and that should be good enough for you. Nothing else, I think, to do, and then I think maybe we can just cast Shield of Faith on yourself. Alright, so now I think our AC should be looking good. 26, 26, and 34. It should be plenty enough, I think, and some protection from chaos mixed in there. Looks like we have more than one spellcaster to worry about, so... And then you should probably do, I guess, Divine Favor. Or I don't know, maybe we just go ahead and do a bit of Shield of Faith on Alyrra. Does she have it on her already? I don't know if I just cast it. No, it's just the Chaos one. Let's go and give her a bit of Shield of Faith as well. I just want to make sure that we don't get hit by their attacks, basically. Alright, now we need to find a way to go ahead and deal with the spellcasters, which means that we probably want to go ahead and get you on them. And then the two of you are just going to go ahead and stay up here and try and deal with the people here at the front. She has enough AC to not worry about opportunity attacks, I think. And then let's go ahead and go after Kalana there and make sure she doesn't cast a bunch of spells. All of you focus on Kalana. You guys tag team on these guys up here as best you can. Let's pick them. Nope, not moving there.
Let us strike as one.
I usually like using right click to go ahead and deselect anyone I have selected, but it doesn't always turn out that way. So, or at least it doesn't do that in this game. I don't think we need Divine Favor. We'll go without it for now. Let's do this one more time. Keep that buff going. Okay. Now you're going to switch your target to the other swordsman. Alyrra's doing okay. Yeah, her AC is good enough, I think, to be able to hang in there. Okay, so we dealt with Kalana and the summons, I guess, disappeared because the spellcaster who summoned them also disappeared, so... So our frontliners were able to hold the line there, which is good. I like that we can have our Paladin that wants to be a frontliner up in the front lines now. Even though they were fatigued, they held up remarkably well in that fight, so I'm quite glad about that. But apparently the Technic League, they're bad folk. We don't want anything to do with them except for doing away with them, I guess. So those are the kind of people that Jod just warned us about when we were talking to him over at the trading post. So, S-Stock. A magical one, too. I guess we'll just take all of these. I don't know if we're going to keep all of it around. We might have enough strength to be able to keep a reasonable amount of stuff around. Also, one thing I want to mention is that I did go ahead and turn down some of the graphics settings in the options menu. Mainly just because I remember the first time that I played this game, I did increase the texture quality to like medium or whatever to try and make sure that the portraits down here looked okay with my custom portrait for my character. But for performance reasons, I think I'm going to have to stick with just the low texture quality. So, obviously, it's not going to look good here. It's going to look blurry as all hell, which it shouldn't, but it does. That's just the way that the engine functions in this game, which is unfortunate. But for performance reasons, and we kind of already know what the character looks like, for performance reasons going forward for my computer, I'm going to have it just on low texture quality. If I ever end up upgrading my computer at some point before finishing this Let's Play, then I might be able to upgrade the graphical fidelity for this Let's Play. But other than that, just trying to make sure that I get good performance and that the game doesn't slow down on me with the frame rate. Basically with frame rates and making sure that my computer doesn't melt with its computer parts. I don't know if there's any hidden items in this area because it's a one-time encounter. And it would be kind of a bummer to miss something that you didn't explore here, but I'm checking anyway, just to be sure. Because I'm a very thorough man, I don't like to miss anything, so I like to double check. Tab key, I don't think I'm missing any bodies on the ground, if anything, so... Alright then, so we dealt with some Technic League thugs. And it looks like we have something else to... I didn't know that we would have another encounter here, but it appears that we do. The insidious hunchmen of the ominous Technic League have disappeared into the thick wilderness of the mysterious stolen lands. But not for long. Soon we'd be upon them. First, though, we'd have to pick up their trail. To do that, we... Okay, so Lindsay's pretty good with knowledge lore. Jathel's decent with arcana. And then Amiri's pretty good with natures. Knowledge world, I think, would have the best chance of working. But I think arcana and nature might help us find them easier. We'll do all of them to see what happens here. So, Lindsay, have you seen any thugs like this before? Do you know anything about the Technic League? Tried to find anyone who could have seen these despicable people. And success. She barely got it. Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for coming through for us. This wilderness only seems deserted at first glance. Wandering around the area, we met a few mushroom gatherers and hunters, who told us where they'd seen our quarry. We hadn't discovered the exact position of their camp, but we were closing in. After this, well, I was kind of hoping that the knowledge world check would have Lindsay remembering maybe details about the Technic League and recognizing who they were and where you might find them, and I have no idea who that is. Obviously, this is Amiri, and then this, I guess, maybe is like Valerie or your main character, if you're like that default guy with the flail or whatever. That's kind of what it looks like. I have no idea who that is. Maybe that's like an early sketch of Lindsay before they changed her character design. But that does not look at all like her. That does not look like her at all. It looks like a Beetlejuice Tim Burton version of Lindsay. That's what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. And I have no idea why the mouse wheel scrolls in behind the book. That's weird. Anyway, enough sidetracking. So we can try and understand, based on what we've seen, what kind of spell Kalana used to get away and teleport out of there, and where it could bring her. Jathel, you have any idea where she could be teleporting off to? And she failed. Oh, failed. Well, she didn't... I mean, yeah, she did not do very good. Unfortunately, a spell is such an elusive thing. It can hardly be called a thing at all. No matter how hard we thought, we still had no idea what exactly she used. We had to find another way. Alright, Amiri, come through for me. We have to, without searching for other ways to simplify our work, we follow the trail of the Technic League. Come on, Amiri, please be good. Yes! Okay. That makes me feel better that at least Amiri came through for us. Okay. And then the henchmen of the ominous Technic League are truly insidious. And the stolen lands, a mysterious thicket. But true heroes think of nothing of such things. We easily picked up the trail of those scoundrels, and soon found their camp. So I guess we need to maybe succeed at 2 out of 3 of those, maybe to get to the Technic League. Or maybe you just need to succeed at the nature check, since the other ones are more lore-based, whereas nature is more tracking them and actually finding them. But we found them at last, and we gained a lot of experience points for finding the encampment. And I imagine that we are going to be in for another fight, maybe, after spending all that time searching for them. So let's see what happens here. We did not heal up after the last fight.
A rest would be welcome.
Okay, so I guess we aren't. Okay, so I guess maybe we know their direction of... I mean, obviously I played this game before and I've gone through this encounter before, but just going by, you know, playing through it again, I would kind of expect that if we tracked where the Technic League goons went off to, that maybe they wouldn't be so far away and we'd still be over here. I would assume that they'd be somewhere around here, maybe, if we tracked their movements, but I don't know how we would know that they're all the way down there. I mean, yeah, I guess technically we can follow their trail and go south here. Technically, the game is telling us to go around the forest and go across the river over here to be able to get down there the fastest. But I probably would not want to do that because I want to explore area that I have not explored yet if I want to go down there. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. We'll have to... Yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and deal with the Technic League later, because that's way down out of the way. When we go down to deal with Tuskgutter, then we can go ahead and deal with the Technic League and take care of that. And we are exhausted, so at some point we're going to need to rest. Probably not now. So I'm not sure if this is like a quest relevant area. I mean, we could certainly go there first since we're up here and we want to go, I guess, a little bit south anyway, and we're probably not going to want to double back up to go north. Now, let's just save our game in case something goes terribly wrong here, but we were able to go ahead and track down the Technic League after that encounter, so I feel pretty good just saving the game here just to make sure that...
My strength fades.
In case the game crashes or something like that, then I just want to make sure I don't have to redo stuff all over again. What? Okay. I mean, that's not the direction I wanted to go at all. I mean, it didn't actually have that much time go by because we went around the forest, but I'm kind of perturbed because I wanted to go north to find that thing, but apparently I have to go this... Like, I guess I have to stop right there to go up? Okay, so, like, now that I know that, like, I'll get up there, I guess, at some point. But I don't really like having to... I don't like having the save scum situations like that, but the game was kind of hinting that I'd be going up this way, and then it goes west. So that's... Come on, game. You gotta go ahead and be a bit more forward with me here. Work with me a little bit. I don't like taking the long way around. I mean, at least we know that there's nothing over there, but it's still nice to not have to take a long way around just to get to where you want to go. Like, that's just silly. Let's not worry about the abandoned hut yet. I hate that. Like, obviously it's not that big of a deal. It's probably not going to affect the game in any way, but considering we are on a timed quest, that is really annoying to have to deal with when I wanted to go up there, go this direction, and then it takes me west, and it doesn't give me a chance to go ahead and stop because the thing's moving so fast on the map. So I'm not going to save and reload, even though I probably should, because the game's just being kind of an ass to us. But yeah, it's sometimes things on the map aren't really clear where you're going to go, and you know, it's like, yeah, kind of irks me a bit sometimes. All right, well, anyway, let's manage our camp. I guess we don't really have anyone that's good at stealth except for Lindsay. And she's the one that we want to do the cooking. I guess I'm not even sure if stealth and camp camouflage is really necessary if we have people on watch order in the first place. So, and they're both very good at perception. So. And we'll just go for the hearty meal. We're not going to go for any of the recipes since we have no food with us. Alright, so let's go ahead and heal ourselves up and see if we can get a good hearty meal going.
How do you keep all this in your heart? How could you be so cruel?
Cruel? Don't confuse me with monsters and maniacs, girl. I don't enjoy the suffering of others. I don't maim and kill for fun. I just know what I want, and I don't care about the rest.
Alright, quite nice, quite nice. So I guess if we end up having an encounter in this area, then Valerie is going to get her armor bonus from the rest. At higher levels, you're going to be able to get more fights out of this, but it's usually best, and it's one of the reasons to bring rations with you in a dungeon, is if you want to go ahead and rest. When you're in an area or going to open a door or something like that that you feel is going to lead up to a big fight, then having rations in a dungeon allows you to rest and maybe take advantage of this ability for a boss fight, which would be great to have. Alright, so I'm okay with that, I guess. I'll just have to live with the fact that I took the long way around to get to the hut, but now we know. Hopefully we're not going to fall prey to that again. I need to maybe just pay more attention to the map. Pay more attention to the map and hover over this to know where I need to stop at on the map to get up there. So, and then I think I'm good on things like spells that I want to have prepared, even though I just rested, so I can't change them now, but I think that all this is good. Divine Favor can be good. You can't use spells. You can't cast spells yet. Okay, and so aid is something that I might use for a big fight here if we have one. Excuse me. Heroism could be useful. Heroism is good too because it gives you skill checks bonus. And since it's a morale bonus, it doesn't usually conflict with other kinds of bonuses that you can get to your skill checks, I think. It's usually very good for stacking with other bonuses, if I remember correctly. Let me just double check here. Inspired Competence. Yeah, so Inspired Competence is a competence bonus, and then Heroism is a morale bonus. So if you stack Inspired Competence and something like Heroism, then that's like a good old +4 to your skill checks, which can be great for persuasion, and in some cases it's also good for stealth if you know you need to have an area where you want to not fail at stealth. It's also pretty good for someone who can do lockpicking like Lindsay or similar characters that you want to not fail picking a lock, because then you don't want to have to save scum it all the time. It's also good for that, so quite nice. It's a very good ability for bards to have and stack it with heroism. Especially since you don't have to worry about things like maintaining concentration on a spell the same way that you would in, say, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to get that kind of effect. Let's go into the abandoned hut now. I think we're ready. I think that we're about as prepared as we can probably be for this area if we encounter anything.
Forwards.
Okay, so that's the Guardian of the Bloom again, which is someone that we encountered at the trading post. I'm obviously not going to follow her first thing because I want to explore around here and find stuff that's laying out and about, hidden away. Let's see if there's any hidden items around here. With our deft eyes and keen ears. Maybe we'll accidentally step on a coin and reveal it's in the dirt. So I guess there's something of a father and a son going on there. We'll go ahead and read the dialogue here in this box because it was going a bit too fast in the heat of the moment for me to speak it. Okay, so we have the Guardian of the Bloom that was like, "You are here, please follow me." And then an ominous sort of scene of illusion type images giving us a story here. "Father, please! I looked for the herbs you asked for. There just weren't enough to..." "Silence! Did you forget the rules? You speak when I say. You do as I say. Disobedience leads to punishment, and you have disobeyed twice." "But Father..." "3 times." And then... "Enough! I can't! Enough!" And then... the son met an unfortunate end by, I guess, a very strict and, shall we say, a not so compassionate father. And, well, it's kind of hard to describe what we just saw there, but I guess it's probably some kinds of rangers or botanists or people that were trying to find something important, some kind of herbs for something. And he punished the youth for disobeying him, I suppose. Maybe they didn't find the right stuff. Maybe he didn't follow his orders to the letter. I have no idea. So what's this? Rotted wooden racks, long ago used for drying herbs. So definitely something herb related that the two were talking about there, something important. Carrot ought to sell. Potion of a large person could be useful. What else do we have around here? The staircase decayed and collapsed long ago. It can't be climbed. Search around the edges of these rocks here to make sure that we don't missing anything hidden. Ferocious Wolf, where is that? Guess maybe it's somewhere here on the map. Oh, it's right down over there. It's down in that direction. Interesting. So I don't know if this is a... This might be a situation where we want to cast
Adventures
heroism.
call to them.
Who's good with perception and nature and things like that? Let's see. You're good at nature and perception. You're good at religion and perception. And then you are good at perception and most of the lore-based checks. You're also good at some of the lore checks, stealth and trickery, and I think it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and cast heroism on Lindsay. On the other hand, I mean, persuasion is already super high on Alyrra, so I don't know if I'm necessarily going to need that. It's nice to have it sort of auto-succeed in a lot of situations and to help with like attack rolls and saving throws and such. And it does help with mobility if we need her to do that. Yeah, maybe I'll go ahead and do that. I want to cast heroism at least on one person in this area. I don't think anyone else can cast it. Not yet. Maybe at high enough paladin level, maybe Alyrra could cast it. But not right now. And then is there anything else that I want to cast before getting into any kind of combat? Shield of Faith has a decent duration. If there was anything that was 10 minutes per level, that might be worth it, but... use second level spells. I think I need to look at this and get some of these spells into this area here. Protection is good. Inflict white wounds. Maybe not something that I plan on using a lot, so let's just drag that out. Let's go and swap that with Shield of Faith. Let's put Aid down there, and then Resist Energy, I guess, might be a bit better than some of these Judgments. Damage rolls, attack rolls, shielding from elemental stuff. I think this won't come up too much if I need it, and I can kind of go back to it if I need to. I just want to go and put the stuff on here that I'm most likely to use. Let's go ahead and put Bleeding Touch over there. This is something I might use for my party in case I want to have elemental type resistance. Then I think you already have all of your spells out here. Yep.
Done with waiting.
Alright, I think we're ready to go now. Let's go ahead and save our game here. I feel pretty good about saving our game. Let's go this way first, since we know there's some wolves down here to fight of some kind.
To victory!
So I doubt that we're going to have any problems with these guys, but for the heck of it, let's do that to go and give us some buffs to take care of them quickly. Alright, very nice. I guess another thing, consideration with heroism is that it would give us the ability to skin these animals better with the nature skill, so maybe that's something I should also do. Not spellbook. Who's the best with nature? You two are tied for it, so I guess I can pick whichever one. I guess Jathel will benefit more from it since she has more lore type checks that she can make compared to Amiri, and perception is very good, so maybe we just cast heroism on her. I don't really want to because she's an evil lady, an evil witch, but for the good of this area, it's probably just best to do this because it's going to help us. And then let's go ahead and cast a good bit of guidance on our friend here. Alright, go over there and skin these guys so that way we can get some lovely pellets out of them and make some money. Oops. I pressed the wrong button there. I want to collect them. And we got a bit of meat out of it too, so that'll help sustain us a bit. I don't think we can go further here to the corner to check and see if we found anything. We did find something hidden here though. Nugra's old notes. Let me see what that's all about in 1 second. Oops. And then we have an ancient Ristaldic coin. Very nice. So I guess I can't go any further this way. There's like some kind of, I don't know, creek or waterfall type thing going on here. Rocks and rubble that I can't move through. But yeah, now that we've taken care of that, that was a worthwhile encounter. I didn't really need much of the stuff that I buffed myself up with, but since heroism has a very lengthy duration, it does allow you to go ahead and cast it well before a combat happens, which is one reason that I love the spell. I wish that more spells were like that in Dungeons and Dragons, where you could have a lengthier duration than just 1 minute, because 1 minute is kind of restricting, especially when you have to cast it after combat starts, whereas with heroism in this game, 10 minutes per caster level is enough duration where you can cast it when you're first encountering an area, and it'll probably still be active for long enough to make use of it. So I like that. Anyway, before I forget, let's go to this note real quick and see what it says. Nugra's old notes. In early spring, Willow's leaves are the same color as her eyes. His, too. I barely hold myself from burning them out with acid. It is his fault. Despicable, weak. If it was not for him, she would still be alive. Does not talk to me. Looks away. Plans something. I know. I have to gather forest herbs and make a hiding place. Hide my charms. He is a coward, but he can steal and run away. I will punch it out of him. Everything hurts. I can barely walk. How could he? How? He would never bring himself to confront me on his own. He says his name is now Staglord. He says he will not let me die or let me go. He says I should not be calling him my son, like I ever did. He told me to pack my things. We are leaving soon. He now has his people and his own fortress. I'm hiding the charms in the herb catch. I probably should not. I will not be able to escape. He will not let me. Well, there you have it. He says his name is now Staglord. So this note, at first glance, maybe didn't seem all that important, like it's just some kind of side thing here that we found, but naming the Staglord, the guy that we're looking for, this does provide a good bit of context to, or at least some context to, you know, maybe how they kind of turned to being an evil, tyrannical dude who wants to rule over others and You know, control the forest. Control the lands, as it were. So maybe this is a note that the Stag Lord didn't want people to find because it gives some hints to his history and his past. Maybe. Obviously, we haven't even found the hut yet, but that note is very interesting.
Without a doubt.
Alright, so now I've been able to piece things together, and obviously the dialogue here also pieced it together for us. Even without the Stag Lord's name being name-dropped here, I was kind of able to figure it out after reading the notes, because it mentioned like acid and things like that, and it mentioned what appears to be, I guess, a note from his mother, Nugra, I imagine, or not Nugra. Maybe it wasn't Nugra. I thought... Let me go and double check the note here. Yeah, so I thought that maybe this was written by his mother, but I guess this is actually written by the Stag Lord's father. It sounded like it might have been his mother while the... Yeah, so at first it sounded like it might have been the Stag Lord's mother, but it's actually his father, and then the use that the Stag Lord has for him is something that is mentioned here in the notes and in the sort of historical recap that we've been given. Alright, so let's read this out here. Where have you been? I told you to prepare everything for the ritual. You will never give me orders again. What? Well, then, summon your power. Or maybe you'd like to try the acid? I am not your slave any longer. Not your toy, kick. Not your son, kick, kick. Enough! I won't kill you. Your powers will be of use to me. From now on, you do as I say. You speak when I say. Disobedience leads to punishment. Always! So it looked like an abusive relationship with his father turned him into being an abusive asshole. And, you know, that's very unfortunate because that does mirror real life a little bit in that many people who end up being abusers were abused themselves at some point, and so it just breeds more bad behavior, either thinking it's okay or retaliating against the world because you hated what happened to you in the past. And yeah, so that's definitely an unfortunate situation there, because it never should have had to have come to that. A small deserted timber shed. Let's see, a ring, potion, so a little bit of money there. I don't know if this is going to be something I have to worry about lockpicking, so let's see what this does. It is. And Lindsay failed to pick the locks, so I am just kind of annoyed. I'm annoyed that I have to save scum lockpicking, but that's just the way that this game is.
Applause, please.
Because backtracking in this game, when the game is very time-based, you can't just take your time backtracking and going to places just to pick a lock. It means that you have to kind of save scum lockpicking, unfortunately. It's not implemented very well in this game. You should get more than one opportunity to lockpick things. See, there's the Guardian again. I'm just searching around for other hidden items and notes, or maybe an artifact fragment might be somewhere around here as well. So far, it's been very interesting. Now we know why the Stag Lord...
I have been waiting for you. The flowers, birds, and wind told me you would come. Oh, my poor flowers. They will perish before long in this bog.
Yeah, I guess as I was mentioning before, I guess now I know why the Stag Lord finds this area significant, but no one else does, because it has to do with his past. And he wants to erase it. Which is why none of his goons and bandits actually know anything about why this area is significant. Only the Stag Lord does, and us now. And I guess the Guardian of the Bloom also knows why it is, but otherwise she probably wouldn't be here. So the nymph that we spoke to at the at Oleg's trading post while we were sleeping one night, we are encountering her once again. And I guess we're the only one that's really aware that she's here, I guess, so...
Speaking to the gods is best done in private. I can look away if need be.
And so I guess if you have someone religious here, then they probably understand what's going on. I guess Harim and Jaith will probably know what's going on. And then Lindsay might be able to figure out what's going on because she's read enough about gods and spirits and stuff, I imagine. Anyway. Tell me about yourself. I'd like to know more about my ally here.
Do you really wish to know? Fine. I'll tell you a fairy tale. Once upon a time, there lived a young nymph. She lived in an enchanted forest, where 1,000 birds sung day and night, where the sun often left a spark or two hanging in the tree crowns, and where the starlight fell on sleepy glades like a glowing soft haze. The young nymph loved simple things, like sitting by the stream with her friends, braiding each other's hair and adorning their braids with crystals made of dew, or watching the flowers blooming. But inside her soul, the young nymph dreamed of something more.
So I guess the odor's kind of mixing around here as she's speaking, and the aroma is kind of washing around and mixing with the odor here as this is going on. Interesting.
Oh, dreams. Nothing in any world can live without them. Even a seed that falls in fertile soil cannot sprout without the dream of the sun. The same was true for our nymph. She wished to turn her enchanted forest into a true fairy tale kingdom and fill it with thousands of wonders. Plans so ambitious rarely go unnoticed by greater powers.
That's interesting. So I guess there's some power that's been hinted about, or some kind of fate or prophecy of some kind that's been hinted about the Stolen Lands before, and there's something significant about this this land, this area, that I guess a lot of people just aren't privy to right now. So yeah, greater powers. Notice something about this.
Those greater powers decided to punish the nymph for her boldness. They sent a horrible monster to poison the enchanted forest and kill the singing birds. The nymph was forced to flee. And finally she found shelter here, in the stolen lands. Here she hoped to sprout the seeds of a new dream, even as she mourned the dream she'd lost. But then the magic mist appeared, killing everything that lived. And the nymph cast about, desperately searching for help. So far, these are the fairy tale's final words. But I hope this is not the end, just yet.
So that's interesting. Greater powers decided to punish her, and her bold move to, I guess, to make kind of like a utopia, I guess. That's the way that I could kind of understand that. But being ambitious caused others to kind of take notice of that, and then bad things happened, essentially, as they always seem to do. But maybe we can help turn the tide a little bit for this Guardian of the Bloom. And yeah, the magic mist has really been a pain for a lot of people. We've encountered that before, and obviously we've encountered it in the forest. At the old sycamore, it also, I think, came up in some conversation. I forget exactly who we talked to it about. I know that there was one NPC, one random NPC that we met on the road that talked a good bit about it, who was kind of like a mysterious kind of person, a hooded figure, who told us a little bit about the mist, I think, and how foreboding it kind of is, if I remember correctly. I know that Kestingares also talked about the mist a little bit and how it made a lot of trouble for trying to track down Tartusio, so we had to kind of help him do that. But yeah, definitely something that the mist causing everyone trouble, and the Guardian has found it to be most troublesome out of everybody. So, would you be willing to share the details of your story about these evil powers, the Enchanted Forest, the monster? I don't know if this is her retelling the story. Let's see what this does. I don't know if it's just going to retell what she just told us.
One day, perhaps I will tell you more. But it doesn't matter now. We need to concentrate on the problems at our doorstep. The Stag Lord, the Druid, the Mist.
The Druid, that's interesting. So I'm starting to piece that together too. I imagine that the Druid, I can only imagine that the Druid is probably the Stag Lord's father, being forced to serve his son and use all these major magic powers for his son's bidding because he can't escape him. That would probably be my guess, because a druid would be interested in botany, and so would a ranger, which is probably his son. Or at least at one time, he was probably something like a ranger, before his mind got twisted up with lots of cruelty and retaliation for all the bad things that happened to him, that his dad did to him. I had a strange vision, a young man and an old druid who tortured him. Then they exchanged roles.
Yes. The soil, water, and stones here are infused with toxic pain and fear. They poison this place as we speak. You have seen where your enemy's journey began. The one called Stag Lord was once the victim of a cruel madman, and has since become one himself. You see now how monsters are born. But what comes of regret for a thing you cannot change? There is no time to be lost. We must do away with the fog quickly.
Alright, well, tell me what to do next then. Has to be going somewhere about the fog, the druid, the Stag Lord. It's all got to come together.
Search the area around the hut. Try to find anything that remained of the druid who lived here. I am sure the fog is his doing.
Yep.
This suffocating veil is as vicious as his nature. We should learn more about the fog and the ritual through which it was created. Return to me if you find anything. The past may hide the answers that shape the future.
Yeah, I apologize for speaking during that dialogue, but yeah, that's something that I kind of figured, that the fog is the druid's doing, the druid father of the evil, twisted Stag Lord. I guess the father at one point in time was just as twisted as him, and now he's, after getting the same treatments, is probably rethinking his life choices. It'll probably be a vicious cycle if we don't do anything to stop it, so.
I will be waiting.
And hopefully we will return later. Farewell. So now we've got to search around. Probably will be like some perception, maybe some lore, I imagine, to try and find some hints to what happened here, and the Stag Lord's past, and finding out what leftovers of history that we'll find here today. I didn't know if I needed to go ahead and worry about having to pick that lock, or if it had
You
to
come
have a lock
again.
picked.
Did you find something?
I'll return later. Give me a moment.
I will be waiting.
I want a chance to be able to read the note first before initiating the dialogue about it, and I don't know why she's dancing around gloriously in a circle. Let's have you stop dancing. Now, what does this say? The stone altar is decorated with an eroded foliage pattern and symbols of green faith. So probably druidic in nature, I would imagine. I guess we probably did not need to cast the heroism spells, but you never know. It's best to go ahead and use them and not need them. Just going to take care of this wolf. Do a little bit of guidance on you to go and skin them. Yeah, she took a hit there from the wolf, or something. Nice. Was barely able to get the DC on that one, so that's why the buffs do matter. Let's do a bit of a quick save here, because I imagine we're going to have to pick a lock here, which I don't like doing. The ground near the chest is covered with culinary herbs. They dried out long ago. Indeed. And I guess that there's nothing to collect there. I mean, I guess if you want to stash things away and then come back and get them if you're overloaded, I guess the chest is there for that, but there's nothing to pick out of the chest, so... Alright, nothing to look at over there. And I guess there's nothing else in this room. I thought that there might be something to find in there, but I guess not. I guess the note that we found is probably the most significant thing for us to find here. A wooden house, time-worn and apparently deserted. Well, definitely deserted, otherwise it wouldn't be so ill-kept. But, looks like we have a box over here as well. I guess the ladder over... There used to be a ladder here to go ahead and walk on up that direction, instead of going around the long way. Oh, nice. Couple of items to sell. Let's see if there's anything over here. There is. Hey, token of the Dryad. I'll take it. That's why you do all the perusing around, because you don't know what you're going to find, especially in story relevant areas that are more likely to... You're more likely to find things by looking around in these story relevant areas because you're guaranteed to go there. And so those are some areas where the so there's going to be things to find inevitably, so might as well. It's sort of like a meta thing where the developers, you know, they're going to put things there for you to find because of the fact that you're guaranteed to go there at some point for the story. So let's see, those are the old notes that we found, and then these are probably maybe more recent notes. I went to the old Temple of the Elk again today. Wicked, gloomy place, just like my soul. It used to shine once, and it is hollow and horrible now. Did he spy on me? Maybe I should lock him up. No, let him be. What can he do, the useless coward? Just whimper and hide. Alright, so I guess this note must have been before the other lengthier notes. Because at this point, it doesn't indicate that his son has risen up against him yet. Whereas with this one, his son kind of enslaved him, in a sense, imprisoned him. So yeah, this is definitely the earlier of the two, and he mentions the Temple of the Elk. So I don't know if things going on at the Temple of the Elk and supernatural things going on here kind of led to his soul kind of being twisted and then, I guess, carrying out really terrible things on his son to vent that anger that he had, maybe? That's kind of what I'm guessing. Alrighty then, well, that's very interesting. Now we shall go ahead and talk to the Guardian of the Bloom about the note.
You come again. Did you find something?
Yes, I did. I found the Druid's notes. They mention a Temple of the Elk. Can you help us? Or can this help us?
An ancient temple. The Temple of the Stag God. Yes, that must be it. The place of power where the Druid created the fog. Perhaps we'll be able to cleanse it from there. The temple hides in the thicket not far from here. You'll need to go there and purge the place of whatever evil still lingers there, summoned by the Druid's sinister ritual. Take care. You are my only hope.
I have a clear goal now. I shall continue my journey. And it looks like she's fading away. Well, obviously, Jod, the cleric back at the trading post, he also wanted us to go and find this same temple, I believe. So we're going to, I hope, kill two birds with one stone and get to the bottom of what the dark magic is going on with the fog in the forest. So I don't believe that there's anything else to find here. We have that stuff down there, but that doesn't really, there doesn't appear to be anything down there of note. Looks like there's a small animal there. Oh, it's a duck. I had no idea that they had ducks on the maps here. I mean, there's like butterflies and leaves and stuff and different things that might be out and about, but I did not expect to find a duck here. Life will always find a way. And of course there's birds that go ahead and fly over top as well. Obviously if the graphic settings were higher, it would all look a lot more majestic and a lot more beautiful than it does here, but I am totally okay with just being able to play the game at all because it's been very fun so far. Now, where's the way out of here? I thought that we came in this direction, right? Maybe I have to go all the way back up here, and maybe that's where we head out? I guess it's a one-way in, one-way out area. Yep, I suppose so. Alright, well, let's save our game because I don't know if there's anything significant that will happen after we leave this area. And we've been through quite a bit in this area. Not necessarily combat-wise, obviously, but we picked up some key information on the Stag Lord and his history and his past. So, I mean, it's probably not going to help us fight him when we eventually find him, but it does give us some context and clues as to what's significant about the stolen lands that we are, I guess, possibly being gifted to rule by Lady Jamandi and the Aldoris over there in the big cities. And it's also interesting because the Stag Lord wants to rule over the same lands, and he's having his father use this nasty magic of fog to go ahead and just conceal everything and make everything just a living hell for some people. So we're going to have to go down south here and go down to the Temple of the Elk and different things like that, so we can take care of probably 3 different things down there. We still have a decent amount of inventory space for loot. Let's go ahead and go over here, and then we'll probably end the episode after going to this area up here. So I'm pretty satisfied how we were able to handle that particular area. I did not know that we were able to go up over here before. I assumed that we could only go left. So let's go over here and take care of this area. The oak that strayed. I don't know if it's significant or not, but we'll find out. If there is a fight here, it's probably going to be better to just go ahead and cast some of these protective spells that last longer than a minute before
You
we
have
fight.
my attention.
So let's do some of this. Alright, so that should hopefully be good enough. Shield of Faith will help out with their armor class here. Anything around here to worry about? Oh. We have a dryad that has apparently gone insane. Well, that's just lovely. What information can we glean about them? They're chaotic good, but they've gone insane. I guess Amiri succeeded a lore check here to get some information on them. They do have damage reduction, but I think we have enough damage output where we can still beat them. So it will be a tough fight, but their AC isn't tremendously high. They probably have some magic that will try and maybe charm one of our guys to have them turn against the party, maybe. Or some other kind of magic. Wish that I wouldn't have to fight them, but I'm probably going to have to.
Request.
Anything is possible.
So let's go ahead and cast Bless then. Maybe remove Fear might come in handy too. So let's go ahead and cast this. And we'll just cast it now before fighting. And we'll save all that stuff. And that's only one friendly creature, but I guess we can do it. I mean, we might as well just use the magic because I'm not sure if we're going to have any other combat encounters anytime soon. So let's just do it now, just to be sure. And then let's just do protection from chaos as well. Some of these. And then we do want to go ahead and make sure we take advantage of Bless before that duration runs out.
Oh, sorry. Was lost in thought.
Let's see, you don't have second level spells
Give the
yet.
order.
Okay. After we're done casting this, I think we'll be ready to go. We're not going to spend a bunch of time on cantrips at this point. I think we can do okay, or do well enough without doing cantrips before every fight. So, let's see how this goes.
Repent!
Stand with me.
So, like I thought, it's a fairly tough fight. I think maybe we might want to get Jaethal into melee combat here so we can try and get some damage going in. So let's get you in there. I think we should get a Miri in there as well. Lindsay's the only one that we need to keep back. And let's have her give us a bonus here. We are taking some damage here, but I'm hoping that we can put in enough DPS to kill her. And I don't think that we need fighting defensively right now, because AC does not seem to be what we need to deal with her.
This body holds no more.
Tear them apart!
There we go, we got her. Alright, we'll switch back to fighting defensively here. But for that particular fight, it did not seem like she was making attacks. She was casting spells to deal with us, basically. So yeah, that was a tough fight, as I kind of expected from her number of levels that she had there. Doesn't give us much loot either. Mainly just experience points, so that's kind of a bummer. But
Assist me or lose me.
okay, well, let's stop then. Let's wait for the spell to wear off. So yeah, when that spell goes off, we learn something. You don't want to move while the spell is active. So that kind of took its toll damage-wise on some of our party members here. But I believe that earlier on in the fight, they did try casting fear-related magic, I think. Could be wrong. It's probably going to be way up here in the fight. So let's see what they casted. Spike stones, and then what else did they cast here? I know that they casted something else. I know they tried to cast some magic, they didn't really work. Made a concentration check, yada yada. So I guess it was just call lightning and then this sort of growth spell from the ground that was dealing spike sort of damage to us. I thought they might have tried casting something else, but I guess they didn't hold concentration for it, maybe. Ooh, freedom of movement. Could be definitely be useful. Pretty high level spell for our character level right now. And then a plain or magic sickle. Alrighty. So I'm assuming that's the only encounter in this area, and that's basically the only reason to come here is to find that stuff in there. Sickles, by the way, for anyone who's not familiar, the reason why there's a sickle there, I imagine it's because it's a druidic type weapon. Things like sickles and scimitars are generally considered druidic type weapons as far as metallic weapons go. So I think that's why there's a sickle here at all, because it's like a nature type place with a dryad, druids, you know, you get the idea. So I think that's why you find a sickle there.
Let us press on.
Oh, excuse me. Sometimes I do have some issues with gas, as you've probably been able to tell if you watched my Let's Plays long enough. Sometimes you just have to make a small little burp here and there. Okay, so it looks like we're not finding anything there. Again, just scouring for hidden items. You never know when you're going to find them, and since you can't just go around backtracking or looking everywhere for particular items, if you miss something, then you have to kind of do this for every area that you go to.
Godspeed.
Just to make sure you don't miss anything, like right here. Okay, so that's interesting. An old staff of some kind. Alright, now let's go ahead and comb over this area. A little bit of ways from the edge of the map. And everyone's running around like a maniac, but sometimes it just happens with pathfinding. I'm kind of used to it. It's kind of used to all of that at this point of my gaming served life. The pathfinding is definitely worse than other games that I've played. There's definitely worse out there, so... Alright, I think that's probably everything that we have in this area, so it might be time to go ahead and go and call it an episode for this Let's Play, since we've accomplished a good many things. Maybe not too many things compared to previous episodes, but we advanced the story, we found the old hut, we got a little bit of history of what the Stag Lord was like, and what his father was like, and what led to him being the way that he is now, and leading bandits and very bad people. Alright, let's go ahead and save our game here. And I need to remember to save at the end of every episode, because there has been a time or two where I forgot to save before leaving the game and ending the episode. And then I had to rely on like a quick save or something similar to that to go ahead and reload my game. So I thank everyone for watching, and I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. It's a bit more dialogue laden, but we did encounter some Technic League ruffians that we were able to dispose of, and we dealt with some wolves as well as a crazy, insane-ridden dryad, which was unfortunate, but wasn't really going to be able to avoid that if we wanted to explore the entire area, so we had to kind of deal with that as we may. It's probably one of the few situations where you would encounter fighting good aligned creatures in a game like this, is where one of them has gone mad or something like that. Maybe the fog has kind of affected the nature. Like dryads, druids, and different bits of nature. The beasts, for example, might be more aggressive, things like that. So I imagine that the fog from the druid serving the Stag Lord, which is the Stag Lord's father, maybe is causing some of the carnage that we've encountered, such as with the dryad going mad and attacking us despite being good aligned. So it has some bad effects on things that kind of make their home here. But I hope everyone's enjoyed this episode and enjoyed the dialogue and enjoyed my new audio setup with the story that we have going on here. And I thank you all for watching. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and join me all next time. And as always, in the meantime, take care.